My name is Geetanjali Khadria. I'm a captain on the Boeing 787. It's the end of the day here in India, and we've had a long session, but I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Vicky, and thank you, Dr. Harpreet Eri Singh. She's the reason I'm here, and she says she wants to promote people. I don't think she's promoting, she's uplifting, she's making them soar. So thank you. Um, to IWPA to recognize the contribution of women to have a week-long event uh, and have different speakers from different backgrounds. Again, I think learning and growing is a strength. Um, my topic allotted and affirmed is the importance of mental health in human performance. Um, Today, with the importance of um, the women in industry, and we are talking here today about International Women's Day special presentation for especially for pilots and everybody in aviation. We all understand the importance of mental health and we understand the importance of human performance. However, sometimes there is a slip between what the real truth and the reality is. And even though we understand it's important, we don't know how to really um, um, make it possible and realize it in real life. So, just sharing a few of the things that we've been doing and I've had the opportunity to work on. Um, I've been flying for over 25 years, and we've been with Air India for over 20. I can't remember how many years anymore. But yes, I have plenty of experience in good and bad, in and out of the cockpit. And I guess that has helped shape my worldview. And I'd like to share some of that with you. So thank you for the opportunity today. I hope we enjoy the ride together. So fasten your seatbelts, yeah? Why the mental health matters and high performance roles as especially those of pilot in the cockpit, because highly cognitive, very complex, very time sensitive areas. So we know that the demand and the precision that we require to perform our jobs every time we step into the uniform in the cockpit. There is no downtime, there is no off time. We can't say, I'm having a bad day and we'll do this tomorrow. Um, every single time we have to do the job perfectly, every single takeoff and landing. There is no downturn at all. So, but as human beings, we go through cycles. And what happens when we are having a downward cycle? What happens to human performance? We're also mirroring the fact that although the industry is acknowledging that we are human behind the machine, but we're expected to function like machines, but we are not machines. We fly the machines, but we are not machines. And so then even machines require maintenance from time to time, even the machines require to cool down. And so, how about us? How do we do our care? We would not be able to care enough until we realize that there is something to be addressed. So it's also increase of self-awareness and to be able to realize that yes, I am having a downturn, because we're always taught to power through everything and work through everything and strap it up. And under circumstances we can do that, especially under negative circumstances. But we I don't think that is possible to do at all times, and it should not be done. And hence, we're looking for the industry to support us in this way. What we're trying to emphasize is that when we say mental health, I know that there is still some kind of a stigma, because I don't anything that we don't understand, we are scared of. So we don't understand the quantum of the universe, or we don't understand about supernatural, or anything that we don't understand, we either dismiss or we get scared of. And the myth on mental health is what we're trying to demystify, that it's not really something scary. It is something as simple as as important as your physical health, and so is your mental health. It's just that you can see your physical body, and therefore you acknowledge that you can have physical diseases. We can't see the mental body because that consists of the mind, the ego, the intellect, which is not visible. And so we think that those can't fall sick, but they are our subtle bodies, and they can have, just like our physical body can be tired, so can our mental body. So we've tried to categorize your mental health into um, certain sections which will help us demystify it. For example, mental health consists of biological, psychological, and social. So what we are trying to say is that a combination of all of these three things consists of our mental health, and balancing all these three dimensions is what helps us a, a maintain a performance, a consistent performance. So like for example, if you have three-wheeled auto rickshaw and one of the tires is punctured, the two will still follow through. But the beauty is that if all three are well balanced. But if any case, if two are gone, so for example, I fall physically sick, yes, but I'm psychologically fit and I have a social fitness as well, we can manage. But we have to be aware that which one of our systems need more attention, need more care, or need more maintenance. So for example, biological would be your physical health, rest, nutrition. Most of us are very aware and look after our bodies pretty well. It's the psychological parts where because we can't see it, it's harder for us to be aware of it. This emotional regulation, self-awareness, social support systems for the social bits, workplace culture, of course. And we have another thing that sometimes we want to consider, especially in India, our spiritual bits. So what we call inside is that, we when the weather outside gets bad, when the visibility is obscured and there's cloud and there's rain and there's fog, you can't see outside. And then what do? Then we look inside. We have a horizon inside. We have something that gives us direction inside, and that horizon inside is our self-awareness, is our inner being, is our mental health from within, which has nothing to do with the external world. And so when we develop the horizon inside, when we learn to look inside, we will have a better sense of self and a better sense of being. um, what we have established here, and we figured out that we teach our pilots and aviation personnel threat error management. We expect them to be safe at all times. We expect and we teach good CRM and technical competencies and non technical competencies. But none of these things are possible if the human is not functioning at optimum level in their mental well-being, in their physical well-being, and in their social well-being. So that is the foundational stone of all the other performances that they're required to perform. Out of the nine competencies that pilots are expected to have as per ICAO, five of them are non-technical and completely based on your mental health at that moment. So, for example, communication, situational awareness, decision making, teamwork, leadership and management and stress, none of these are actually taught in any foundational programs. They are expected to have these things. And how would you make what will be the quality of your decisions or your situational awareness when you're feeling frustrated, or you're feeling angry, or feeling scared, or feeling anxious. So we're trying to say that um, what your current state is will be determining the level of your performance. And because our performance is required to be optimum and our best at every single time, but is that even humanly possible? We all know about the shell model in aviation, and it's very widely known. And we all also know that the center of the shell model is the human that is you. The human that is you is not only the human in aviation or at work, it's also the human at home. So how you communicate with your co-workers and your systems is the same way you are present with your family, your friends, your and it's the same person. So we're trying to establish that who you are from inside is will determine how you communicate, how you are present in the world, and how you're able to. Because if you are not functioning optimally, all of these systems will be affected, your bio, your psycho, your socio, and your spiritual aspects, and it will affect in the performance of your aircraft. What we're trying to say is that how you feel is how we act. If I feel miserable inside, it's very hard for me to be polite and gentle outside. It's a projection of my inner world. So we're trying to say here that just like the weather, our emotions are temporary in nature, and what we'd like to have is sometimes we have a storm that comes in 20 minutes, so I have a bad temper and it becomes all right. And we can have these experiences inside our bodies for short periods of time, but what we ultimately need is a good climate. So no matter what the weather outside is, the inside, the weather should always remain sunny, even though it is not practical. But at least we can try. We should at least be able to realize that we are having trouble inside, and therefore we need more care. We need more time out. Maybe we need to speak to somebody. We need to seek help, and help is now being made available very readily for us if we want it. So we all understand the difference between uh, TAF and no TAM. So it's like a drawing of a so the difference between weather and season and climate. So weather is like feelings. They're short. They last. They get over quickly. Seasons are like emotions. They last a little bit longer. Suppose I had grief or a death or a separation or something like that. But the climate is almost permanent. So what is I can have short-term discrepancies, but what is my long-term climate? So that determines who we are as personalities and as characters. So what we are trying to say here is just like a pendulum can sway from one to one, but the permanent position is always the central position. So you may drift to really high emotions, maybe on the negative side, and maybe also drift back into very happy states. But to remain in the center, almost undisturbed by movement, is the ideal state, which is also called homeostasis in English, the psychological language. In Krishna's Gita, they call it sthita prajna, that the changeless state, that when you are unaffected by emotions and are able to maintain or at least come back to homeostasis at some point after um, some drifting. So we all feel sensations in our bodies, just to bring back what mental health can translate like, and we can relate to telltale signs as to how to determine how I am feeling at this minute on our own. So we have signs in the body that we talk about. Say we will describe it as, say, I'm feeling like a heavy head, my ears are burning, I have a dry throat, I have probably heart pounding. We say all these things like I have butterflies in my stomach and not. I'm feeling I can't breathe, like it's tight. My knees are shaking. I have sweaty palms. So what are these? All these are feelings that we physically, emotions that we experience in our body, and that's our body trying to talk to us and tell us that these are your feelings. This is how you're experiencing it. I can't speak it, but I can show it to you in your body. Just hands off if this makes any sense to anybody, just like a show of hands or some reaction. Because when I first discovered this, I was like, oh my God, this is my body talking to me. Thank you. So, what we're trying to say or trying to determine over here today is that we have these emotions and we're allowed to have these emotions, and we all have them. We're all the same from inside, we're all the same. And unfortunately, when we are not aware of them, we don't know how to seek help. And once we are aware of them, we are scared. We don't know what the consequences of those will be. We are professionally scared. we think that we don't allow ourselves, because there's some guilt and there's some shame and there's some embarrassment, that we feel that it's okay if I have broken my leg to go to the doctor, but if my head is not feeling all right, it's not okay to see a doctor. So what has been recognized, that after all the discovery and after all this researchers and of all this very nice quote that I like to hear from Dr. Reese Simons, he says that after all this research and all the studies and everything, it has been found ultimately that without doubt pilots are only humans. So that you can have a downtime, but you don't have to be in uniform and have to be performing and have to have all the answers all the time. So they developed the system of peer support, that because we are in unique professions that not everybody understands what we go through, that pilots talk to pilots, and that we're allowed to share in a non-judgmental space. So they've beautifully curated this program, which has been in the West for several years in some of the pioneering airlines, and now being introduced in other parts of the world, the peer support system. So, where one of my head of department shared this with me, that was put in his airline about 40 years ago, saying that don't bottle it up. You don't need to do this alone. We're all in this together. Even just knowing that you're as miserable as I am helps sometimes. But yes, we can talk, we can share, and we know that this weather will pass. The CB will pass. Um, the uh, moment that we don't get is the moment to take a pause. I realized in the simulator session this time that when we do four deck, after you've had um, uh, uh, an ICAS or a warning, and you've done the checklist and you've done all of that, and then we take time to do four deck. I realized something told me this time that four deck is nothing but a pause. Four deck is something that you step back and you take stock of what is going on. So when you feel stuck, or when you feel anxious, or when you feel that something is not sitting, and if you just step back and say, okay, what are the facts here? What are my options? What are the risks? What am I feeling right now? Which part of my body is talking to me right now? So if we take that pause to just do that self examining, like look inside, for example, or look for the horizon inside, or how when we land a plane, we say, look in, look out, look in your instruments, look outside, look in, look outside. So always keep a check inside, that how am I feeling within is a good place to start in terms of uh, having some awareness. Only when we have an awareness, we are able to um, take a pause, breathe, let ourselves know that you're all right, you're going to be all right. Let the other person know that I'm going through something, but I will be all right. Will you stay with me on this one? I want to touch upon something that we don't usually talk about. I know it's International Women's Day, and sometimes we tend to look at men and women only in the bodies. And I say this with great humility because I have short hair. I'm mistaken for a man many times. I have a bass voice. My wealth management officer thinks I'm a man, always says Mr. Geetanjali. And however, we have to look for gender beyond just the physical parts, beyond just the binary, beyond just what it is to be in a woman's body. Doesn't only make you a woman, or doesn't only make you a man. So we want to bring this highlight that gender isn't just external. We all carry masculine and feminine energies. Our feminine energies we are very, very aware of, which gives us stability, balance, and empathy. And we also have masculine energy, which gives us ambition, action, and drive. We're all pilots, so we need to have both the energies, because we are actually performing both the roles. And so we do the same even at home, because we are running the household, we are nurturing, we are nesting, and yet we are still doing the finance, we're still doing the management. So to realize that yes, we are in a female body, but that's not what makes us only female. So when we say even the males have female energy, which is what makes them soft and understanding, which is what also makes them creative at times. And whereas, so what we're looking to do is embrace both our energies of the female and the masculine, and the true leadership comes out of that, and that's when all our competencies are at its best. So not to look at just the binary signs of man and woman in a physical form, but give everybody a chance to be in full harmony and balance with themselves. So even a man and woman are incomplete in a way, because again the energy has to be balanced for the same thing. Coming to a point where we're can't help but celebrate in this platform about the example, and how proud I am to say that, about the women in aviation, especially in our country. I know that the IWPA has done fabulous work in this, getting the attention because the whole world now knows it and talks about it. Yes, it is something to mention that it is in a percentage and it is not in absolute numbers. However, it is still it's a statistic that we can entirely be completely proud of. So the aviation shows that when barriers break, talent thrives. So in a profession where we have no difference in pay because of gender, where we have no difference in training, where we have no difference in roles. Yes, the mindset and the preconceived notions of the people will still take time, because the patriarchy has not ended. It's just that we've set a record, but that will also change with time. So I celebrate with all of us here today the 15% of pilots in India, which is three times the global average. And I cannot be prouder to be part of this for many, many years. And the goal that was set by the ICAO for 25% women representation by 2025 was an ambitious one. I don't think they meant it only for pilots, they meant it for everybody else. So there are departments who have this statistic, but it is an ambition that we thrive for and we aim to achieve soon enough. Um, there were more slides I thought I wouldn't be able to get through. So I removed them, but now it looks like, because I'm speaking monologish, so I'm getting through. However, I'd like to take up some questions if we have time for, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about self awareness, and I removed those slides. However, I will sum up today by saying what we can do and take away from this communication today. We learned about how important it is to look after ourselves. We all come from aviation. We know that it is important to wear your own oxygen mask first before you help anyone else. Because if we don't feel well, it's how we are is how we fly. Who we are is how we fly. So if we are not feeling well, or we don't are not feeling at our best, we cannot perform at our best. We can't be present for our families in the way we would like, in the way they would like, as well as at our work. So um, it is as important to pay attention to your physical, to your mental health as we do to our physical health, and therefore enhance our performance in every aspect of our life. To definitely foster inclusive spaces for open dialogue and peer support. So, not only seek help, but also be open to offer help. But also remember that you can't pour from an empty cup. So, unless you are feeling full enough and um, stabilized enough to be able to support people, you don't go to help people. Look after yourself first. And that is not being selfish at all. That is being self aware. Um, Building resilience through self-awareness and mental fitness practices. I didn't get a chance to share that with you, but there are several practices, like I said, with mental, social, and you can think about what helps you, because some people enjoy being in nature, which recharges their batteries. Some people enjoy volunteer work, which makes your oxytocin levels go crazy. Some people enjoy friends, families, movies, pets. Exercise, meditation, all of these things create a beautiful chemical cocktail which makes us feel really good about ourselves. So it helps us bounce back, it helps us function better, it helps us gain homeostasis really soon. So start finding those chemical workers. Lead with empathy, recognize the human behind the role. So, just like how we'd like to be seen as human beings, we're not machines, and we should be able to find that same compassion for the other person, whether it is the person who's cleaning your windshield or who's loading the bags. Everybody is human and likes to be seen, likes to be heard, likes to be acknowledged, and just like how we would feel and we would like to be treated, we do the same for all our colleagues. Um, Accelerate action by mentoring, uplifting the next generation. I think an absolute salute to the organization WICCI as well as IWPA. I think they're taking monumental steps in this direction until you're fostering your young and you don't have a future ahead of you. So it doesn't end with you. You have to, and we all do with great love and affection, mentor our young and lead by example. I close today with this wonderful feeling of absolute gratitude to be present here today, because I was not sure, how exhausted or how much I will be able to be present. But it just seems like once you are available, once you keep yourself open, even this small thing as a backdrop, which was not done, but it was actually realized in a matter of seconds. Because once you are keeping your open mind, everything is possible, and I can tell you that from personal experience. So, closing thoughts for me today, that we leave no one behind. We don't, definitely we promote women, but we don't leave the men behind. Definitely we support pilots and air traffic controllers because they're so important in their responsibility. But as much as the cargo loader, as well as the catering van driver or the marshaller, everybody plays an important link in the chain. So mental health is actually not a luxury at all. It is necessity for safe, sustainable performance, and the industry is beginning to recognize that. There will be a time when they will not be able to ignore it anymore. Together, we can build an industry with every human thrives mentally, emotionally, and professionally. It's almost giving me a high just thinking about it. Thank you for being part of this change. Let's be safer, stronger, more compassionate. I know that's a word that we don't really use in the professional space, but let's be kind, let's be gentle, let's be respectful, let's be loving. And I think women bring that energy, and we allow men to bring that energy as well. So that's all from me today. I think I'm done, and I will stop sharing. Thank you so much, Lynn. Anybody has anything to ask or share?
Yes.
Hello,
Uh,
Christine.
Hello. Um, I am the president of the French Women Pilot Association, and I have been airline pilot for Air France during 35 years.
Wow.
And I wanted to add, I totally agree. We are all men and women inside us, and but because now men are a majority within our professions, in the past, some men, some pilots were not happy because I had too much empathy in their